All right, it's the end of the session. I'm here without Scout. Scout is a puppy that wasn't socialized when she was really young, and so she's got stranger danger and some other things. And so this is basically a summary of the things we covered in our session. Now, before I go through the summary, I'm going to kind of go through two different instructional sections. The family here is going to have some relatives who are going to come and stay potentially at the house. Now, having people come into your house is hard for a lot of dogs, especially fearful or anxious dogs. So it has nothing to do with the guests, but especially if we have guests that have kind of unusual characteristics. If, for example, somebody had like a mobility issue. Now, sometimes dogs, they haven't seen a cane or a walker, things like that, they kind of freak out. In this case, having young kids, and kids under the age of 5 are not really, it's hard for them, yes, to get them to listen to us, number one, but they're also, kids under the age of 5 don't know how hard or soft they're grabbing things. And they don't have a lot of impulse control, so a lot of times they want to go grab dogs. Dogs are like the first interactive toy for young children. And I've also seen it where people are like, oh, but my kids have a dog. They understand what it's like to be around a dog. Sometimes that makes it worse because that dog has a relationship with the kids. Oftentimes that dog, the kids were raised in the house around the dog or vice versa, so they just feel very comfortable. And those kids can grab the dog and do things to the dog that the dog's okay with that other dogs would not be okay with. So in a perfect world, what I would recommend is that the family members that are coming to visit rent an Airbnb that's nearby for the first 2 days or so. What I want to do is we want to gradually expose the dogs to the kids. When I came into the house, Scout was a little bit unhappy and ran away. Now, she was quiet at first because she wasn't confident. Now, I went out of my way to offer her soft body language and to do all the things that I know that she needs to feel comfortable and confident. And she's right behind the camera right now, really close, and she's actually creeping around behind. But she was giving all sorts of indications she's uncomfortable. But I'm a behaviorist. I know all the tricks to do. Young kids don't know those tricks and don't care about doing those tricks and are going to be all over the place. And little kids usually have a lot of energy. When I come into the house, I'm invading Scout's space. So what I did is I tried to offer some tips to make it comfortable, but if the kids come into the house, they're invading her space and she doesn't have anywhere else she can go. There's 2 other dogs in the house as well that also we're not sure how they're going to do with kids. And so what I would recommend, and this would be something I would recommend for both scenarios, but a lot of times when I have dogs that are fearful, the way that I introduce them is I always do it outside. For dogs, front-facing approach is confrontational. And for humans, we give eye contact, we walk straight up to dogs, and that's very rude in the dog world, especially if you have fearful dogs. So what I do when I have fearful dogs is I leave a treat trail. I put treats from right outside the front of the door of the house, down the sidewalk or to the street, and then I usually have the person sitting in the street facing away from the house, so you're facing the street. And I leave the treat trail so it comes up behind the person like at the 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock angle or the 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock angle. So they're coming up from behind to the side. Now, when the person's sitting there, they're kind of offering trust. They're kind of defenseless. And this helps the dog feel less threatened. Now, when the dog comes and approaches, what I do is I do the treat trail. And at first I do the treats first 3 treats are about 6 inches apart. And I do them in a straight line. Then I go to about 12 inches, then maybe about 18 to 24 inches. Gradually make them, the space in between bigger, but in a straight line so the dog can see the pattern. I position things so that the dog, when it comes out of the house, it doesn't see the person sitting on the street. So park your car or kind of some sort of blockage. And then basically when they come around the corner, when they're right about to come outside of the blockage and see it, I usually have a small pile of treats. The dog gobbles them up. When they come around the corner, they have a bunch of treats in their mouth. Then they lead all the way up to the person, and the person should have some treats in their hand. If the kids, we might have the parent with the kid. But basically, when the dog comes over, I might even hold my hand out with a treat like this and see if the dog will take it off my hand. I doubtful Scout will do it, so then what I do is I have them throw the treat behind the dog. And the dog has to move away to get the treat, and then the dog looks at the person again, and maybe one of the guardians will be standing here if the dog's here, so they can say now. And every time they say now, the guest should just throw a treat behind the dog. So we don't want to have the guest looking at the dog because that eye contact can be a challenge. And so basically when they're doing that, we're throwing the treat behind the dog. This causes the dog to move away, which makes them feel more comfortable. Now, I forgot to go over a couple steps we're going to do before. I'll get to those at the end. And so basically, once the dog is coming and comfortable, and if the dog comes to sniff, the person needs to hold still. Don't talk to the dog. Don't move. definitely don't try to pet it. For fearful dogs, I like them to approach me at least 3 different times while I hold completely still. And only the 4th time do I even start to consider whether I can touch them. And the way I do that is that if the dog's right here, I'd hold my hand out about 6 inches to a foot away from my body. Don't put it in the dog's face. Just hold it out like this. If the dog comes and touches its nose to the hand, it's saying, yes, I'm interested in that interaction. If that's the case, tell them to pet the dog under its chin or on the throat or on the chest, not on top of the head. And if they go like this and the dog backs away or the ears flip back, they should stop and pull back. So I would have one of the guardians standing right here so they can kind of watch. And they, again, teach the kids how to play red light, green light before they come here. So anytime the kids hear red light, be like, if you freeze, you're earning a piece of candy that you get when we get in the house or whatever it is. So you get the kids have motivation. You need to get the kids to be able to freeze and stop immediately. If the dog gives you an indication it's uncomfortable and the kid's farting around, that can turn not great. So if the kid learns to immediately freeze and you practice the red light, green light game, I would practice at the airport, at home, at the airport, or if you're driving or whatever it is, out in the front yard. So kids are very adept to it. And when you get here, the kids can play red light, green light, or we can say red light anytime the dogs are uncomfortable. So when I hold the treat out, and eventually, hopefully the dog can take the treat. If they don't, that's fine. But throw the treats away, and when the person stands up, throw a couple treats behind the dog first, then have the person stand up. If they stand up when the dog's close, that's going to spook the dog. Now, I would have this treat trail. I would do this in a couple ways. First of all, I would have the guardians here practice this before the guests arrive. So the dog is used to it. And what I would do is I would have your partner at the end of it. So when you come home from work, instead of coming in, set up the treat trail quietly, text your partner puts the other 2 dogs in the back of the bedroom, and then takes that one dog and leads it down the treat trail. And then when it gets to the end of the trail, it's one of my guardians. It's one of the people I love the most. This is a fun game. I like doing this game. That's Scout. She's a little, my movement is a little bit much, and I've been here for a while. And that's another illustration of having the kids come here and stay here for a couple of days. It's going to be really, really hard for the dogs to deal with. So once we get to the point where we're either throwing the treats away and standing up, or the dog's taking the treats out of my hand, then I would have the dogs away, throw some treats, the person stands up, and then they go for a walk together. Doesn't have to be a long walk, short walk, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe we're going to do it 3 dogs and multiple people, probably 5 minutes. And on that walk, we're letting the dogs sit anywhere they want. The kids could also throw treats on the ground. And as they find it and throw the treat, and they throw the treat away, so the dog moves away from them and gets a treat. So engaging with the little one or the guest gets me something good. And then I would go for that little walk, and then I would have the dog go inside, switch dogs, and do the same thing with the next dog. Do the next dog with all the guests individually. Now, since we have little kids, I'd probably have one of the parents with the little kids sitting on the deal together. Normally, I like to do it one-on-one, but the little kids by themselves probably they're going to need direction. And so the parents should kind of be there to shepherd, but avoid sudden movements, avoid direct eye contact, and don't try to pet the dog. Once they've met everybody, then I would have all the dogs go into a room or somewhere where they can't see, have everybody come inside and sit on the table in your back porch or back area. So when you bring the dogs out, I'd bring the dogs out one at a time. Whoever did best, I'd bring that dog out first and have that dog just sniffing around by itself. Then bring the next dog out. And I would probably bring Scout out last or with the other dogs, because Scout seems to be more comfortable with the other dogs. The kids should be at the table doing something quiet, like drawing or something like that, so there's not a lot of movement. And again, have the kids play red light, green light. Have a bag of M&Ms there. Just say, hey, we're going to play red light, green light when the dogs come out. So when the dogs are coming out, we're in red light, the kids are frozen. And the dogs come out. Dog comes over to sniff them because they're not moving and freezing. That's going to help the dogs feel comfortable. And then we're going to bring the dogs out one at a time and let the dogs kind of sniff them and feel comfortable. And then basically we'd like to have the people there for 15 or 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes tops outside. Then we bring the dogs back inside, go in the bedroom, and then the guests leave, go back to their Airbnb. The dogs get like an hour or more of rest. Then maybe they come back again the second time. We have the dogs in the bedroom, and the kids are outside. We don't have to do the treat trail this time if it goes well. And then the dogs come out and meet them again one at a time. The kids are still at the table. They're not moving around. We're red light, green lighting it. Dogs have another exposure of the kids that's positive. What we want to happen is the dogs are around the kids and be exposed to the kids without reacting, barking, and all that fun stuff. When they're doing that, they're having an emotional outburst. They're not saying, I want to be a jerk to you. They're saying, I am freaking out. I don't know how to control myself, and it's coming out. Just like if you pour water in a glass, it gets full, the emotions are going to overflow just like the water will. So if dogs are acting out, they're saying, I am past the point of being able to handle it myself. If you continue having the guests there or you push further, you're going to have the dogs fail and have other problems. So the idea would be to expose them maybe 2 or 3 times like that. And then after that, maybe take the kids out and go for a little bit of a walk as a group. And so we're going to have that happen over the first couple of maybe 2 days. So the dogs are exposed to the kids outside in an environment where the kids are quiet, and we're setting the dogs up for success. Now, we can set this whole thing up for success in a couple ways. Before you do this, take the dogs out for a game of fetch or a sniff walk. Just make sure the dogs have about 15 minutes of rest before the guests arrive. A little bit of exercise is important, but the dogs also need a little rest. Otherwise, if they don't get the rest, they'll be worse behaved. Now, we can also set the kids up for success in advance. What I'd like the parent to do is to take a clean washcloth, preferably with no Febreze or dryer sheets or any of that stuff, and clean your hands. Take that and wipe it on your child's chest and back and legs. It doesn't have to be any gross, just wipe it on their skin. Flip it over, do it the other side, and then take it and put it in a Ziploc bag, zip it up, and mail it here. Do this one for each child. So the guardians here can actually now take it out, wash their hands first, take it out, and have the towel in one hand and treats in another. So they're going to have their hands behind their back. The dogs are one at a time. If it's Sally, they say, Sally. Then they pull the deal out. The kid smells it. It goes away. And then after the dog gets done sniffing, it gives them a treat. Now, some dogs are going to sniff and be very interested in sniffing. Let them sniff as long as they want. When they disengage, then pull the towel away, put it behind your back. The other hand gives them a treat. So you're going to kind of go back and forth like this. And eventually you get to the point where the dogs are now sniffing and then getting a treat afterwards. They're being introduced to the children, the smell of the children, which is the most important thing for dogs, without the children actually being here. This should be done about a week before the kids get here. And you might do like 2 of them. After about 2 or 3 days, they'll start losing the smell. So I'd maybe do one about a week before the kids come here, and about 3 days later, send another 2 towels. Just washcloths is fine. I'd also like the guardian, the kids' parents, to record the kids when they're playing 3 or 4 different things. Maybe if they're running around outside, they're really going crazy. Then they're talking and playing a game inside, like a board game. And then maybe they're playing or talking amongst themselves. So we're going to get the kids doing the things that they normally do, and a good 3 to 5 minute recording of that. Maybe 1 to 3 minutes, doesn't have to be that long. And then send those to the guardians here. What I want the guardians to do here is to play that recording through Bluetooth while the dogs are eating their food. Now, we need to pull it at a really low volume at first. The dog stops eating or is very weird about eating. That means it's probably too loud. So it might be like a level 2 or 3. The next meal, it's level 4 or 5. Gradually, we're going to raise that up. And eventually, it's going to sound like the kids are running around here screaming. And the dog's like, whatever, that's just what we're used to. I've been hearing it and I've been eating food at the same time, so I'm counter-conditioned. Now here, I'd like the guardians here to start going once a week to a playground. Now the ideal time to go there is going to be like around 10:30 to 11 o'clock, or like about 1:30 to 2:30. Find one that there's some kids, but not too many kids. Have Scout, and I would do this all the dogs, but primarily with Scout, have Scout sit. Ask Scout to sit one time. Remember, if Scout won't sit, it's too close. Or if Scout won't take the treat, it's too intense. So that if that's the case, move 5 feet away and ask for another sit one time. If they don't sit, they're not being disobedient. They're saying, I'm uncomfortable sitting this close to the kids. Keep on doing that, and you'll see what distance you need to be far away. So whatever distance is fine. Then we're going to play what's called the engage-disengage game. Let's say that the camera is the children playing and I'm the dog. So you want to have the dog kind of looking in that general direction, sitting down, facing that. They don't have to face them directly, but kind of in that direction. So let the dog here, you'd like to have the human kind of on this side or this side, but we want the human edging on the side that's closer to the stimulus, in this case, the kids. So every time that the dog looks at the kid, which is the camera, yes, and then this person gives the dog a treat. Now, don't wait for the dog to look at you. First, put the treat in the mouth. But after a while, what's going to happen is the dog's going to be like, Yes, they're going to look up, and then you give them the treat. What are we doing? We're rewarding the dog looking at the kids. I say yes, and just for looking at the kids, you're going to get a treat. The kids are far away. You don't have to interact with them. All you got to do is look at them. And at first, the dogs won't look at them quite so much, but after a while, they're going to start engaging with them and looking, and then looking up at you. This is called the engage-disengage game, because eventually what will happen is the dog's going to look at the kids and look up at you before you say yes. Right now, for the engage part, if I'm the dog, yes for looking at the camera. Then they look at you to get the treat. For the disengage part, the dog looks at the dog or the kids and then looks up at you. Now you're saying yes when the dog looks here. You're rewarding the dog now for looking away from the children. So that's a nice way, and each time you go, hopefully you can be a little bit closer to the kids. Now sit in different positions, make sure you're not cooking in the sun, but try to do this at least once a week so the dog is now used to the full fidelity of kids playing, but outside. They're getting used to the sound of the kids playing, and they're getting used to the smell of the children. And so these are the things that we can do that really set the dogs up for success. Hopefully some of them work. Sometimes dogs don't want to smell, but they'll do the volume or the auditory recording, whatever it is. But the idea is to set them up for success. Now, and then you exercise the dogs ahead of time beforehand. So this is a nice way to kind of set your guest up for success. And hopefully after 2 or 3 days, then maybe they come and stay here. Now the dogs have met them, they've grown comfortable with them. But if it doesn't go well, when you're doing these things where they have plenty of distance, the kids are only for a short period of time, that at least gives you the ability to recognize we need to let them out. You can let the other dogs out, by the way. It'd actually probably be good for the camera if I could get some dogs coming in, but you don't have to. All right, so that's for the guests that are visiting. And guests that are visiting, don't take any offense to this. I don't know who you are, but kids are hard for dogs to begin with. Kids who are under 5 are harder for dogs to begin with in the perfect scenario. Having kids come into somebody's house is harder. Having them come and stay here for like 3 to 5 days, incredibly, incredibly difficult. And as somebody who was attacked by a dog, by a relative's dog, 77% of all dog bites occur by a family member. Now, I'm not saying that there's a risk here, but dogs that are fearful and forced to endure things are much more likely to bite than dogs that are gradually exposed and create a positive association. And the steps we talked about should help you achieve that. Now, we also I like the guardians here to also start preparing their dogs, especially for Scout, to start having some guests come and visit. They don't have a lot of guests come and visit. So the dogs are comfortable and relaxed with the people they know, but when we have outsiders come in, it's hard for them. So what you could do is, again, that treat trail. One other thing for the kids, and this would be for both of them actually, get some lick mats. Lick mats are silicone mats that have grooves in them, and you can smear peanut butter, cream cheese, you can crack an egg on them. Now, what I usually do is use peanut butter, and then after the dog's had it a couple times, I start freezing them so they last longer. Licking and chewing release oxytocin and serotonin, the feel-good hormones, into dogs' brains. When I have dogs that don't like things, I try to pair that activity with exposure to it. So when the kids are here, we want to pick and choose our battles. When the kids are nice and quiet, that's a good time for them to be around the dogs. If the kids are really rowdy, they need to be outside in the front yard, or the dogs go in the bedroom so they're not exposed to it. But if they're in the bedroom by themselves, the kids are out running around, they're probably going to be barky and unhappy about it. So you want to probably have the dogs practice being in the bedroom while you guys are in here having a good time. Have a loud, animated conversation. Play some stuff. Not saying forever, but practicing having the dogs in that room, because they're gonna need to be in that room when the guests come here. Maybe it's not that room, maybe a different room. Whatever the room is the dog's gonna be in, they need to practice doing that before the guests arrive. So that way when the guests come and they would put the dogs there, they don't look at it as being a punishment. There's just like, this is the normal thing. I just kind of get breaks here from periodically from time to time. Now, I would probably move this ottoman over and put the other chair right next to it, and I'd have the kids sitting here. The couch is where you guys congregate, and you have choking points. If the kids are sitting on the couch right behind the camera or over here by the gray chair over there, the dogs might feel trapped. I can't go out this way. And if one kid's there, maybe the dogs feel like I can't do anything, and trapped animals are the most dangerous. So we want to make sure that the kids are kind of here and the dogs have the ability to get out on either side. All right, so if you're going to have a guest come over, I would do the same thing. I would set the guests up for the dogs up for success by getting them some exercise ahead of time, 15 minutes of rest, get them used to doing that treat trail. So again, at the end of the trail is one of you guys or a pile of treats. And again, park your car or set it up so they can't see where the person's sitting when they come out the door. And keep it in the same spot, so they're following the same treat trail. So they meet the guest they go down the treat trail, they meet the guest has some treats with them. So wait for the guest should not try to pet them or look at them or move, especially for Scout, but if any of them come to sniff, you got to tell the guest, please do not try to pet them. It takes a lot of courage for them to meet you. If you move or try to pet them, you're going to spook them. It's not what you intend. What you intend is for them to like you. Best thing you do is just be quiet and calm and let them sniff you, and don't try to pet them back. Wait for the dog to engage 3 times and then hold your hand out here, or better yet, hold out a treat with the hand. Don't look at them. Don't turn to face them. Just hold it out to your side. If the dog licks up the treat, I leave my hand there. A lot of times the dog come back and lick a second time. Did I miss some treats? They're getting another contact with you. So after that, you can do that a couple times. And when the dogs are taking treats from your hand, or if they won't take the treat, they're saying, I'm uncomfortable. It might be that they just meet that guest. The guest stays seated and they won't take treats unless they're far enough away. Then basically you take the dog inside and then redo the treat trail with the next dog. Maybe one dog can meet, 2 dogs can't. That's okay. So we're not going to have the person move at our pace. We're going to move at the dog's pace. So until the dogs are able to take treats, not necessarily from the person, but you can throw it on the ground or they throw it on the ground and then they're eating those treats. At that point, call the dog away, have the person stand up, and then have the dog look at the person, say yes, give them a couple treats for that, and then have the person get up and start walking, and then you walk behind with the dog and gradually catch up to them. On the walk, the person should be either giving free treats, throwing on the ground, but preferably we'd like to ask them for a sit. If they sit, say yes, give a treat. If the dog sits, it's saying I'm comfortable enough with this person to put myself at a disadvantage of sitting and to follow their instructions. If they don't do that, they're communicating to you, we have not reached that level of our relationship, which is fine. So the idea is then we go for a little bit of a sniff walk, and then in a perfect world, we'd like to have that person leave. Maybe you put the dogs back inside, you hang out for 5 minutes, the friend goes to a bar or a restaurant, and you guys hang out with the dogs for about 5 or 10 minutes. Then you go to the restaurant and you get to hang out with them. Doggies, hey buddy. Oh yes, sweetie. She is not fearful, as you can see. All right, so the idea is the dogs have a little bit of exposure and then they get to hang out, and then you guys leave the dog in a safe place and you guys go out to dinner or whatever it is, and then the dogs don't have to be fully immersed with the person. We want to have small exposures that are positive, no reactivity, and then we have another one, a small exposure with no reactivity, and we're building a wall. And each positive experience with no reactivity makes the dogs feel more and more comfortable and confident. Hello, buddy. Yes. Yes. All right. And so then the next visit, they do a treat trail again. But this time, after going for the walk, maybe they all walk in the house. Now, if you can walk from the outside into your backyard, that'd be better. But if you walk through the house, that's fine. But before you come in the house, I give the dog a couple treats. The guests should. And then as soon as they come in, they should give a couple treats as well. So coming into the house is a big threshold change. And so we want to give them treats to make sure that, first of all, are they comfortable enough to take the treat? And are they comfortable enough taking it from the person that tells us what's going on? And then again, the guests, and I have them come through the house, but then go back outside, sit at your table. And let the dogs wander around outside. If they come up to sniff the person, they should hold still if it's Scout especially. But until the dog's comfortable. When they reach out and they take treats in the hand, only at that point should the person try holding their hand out to see if the dog's interested in being petted. And if you're one of the guests, no dog in the world likes it when you start petting on top of the head. They interpret that as dominating. So if the dog does lick your hand when you hold it out, tickle them under their chin, scratch their throat, or do a circle on their chest if they feel comfortable. If they turn away from you or step away, that's their way of saying, I'm comfortable. The best thing you do is stop, pull your hands back in, and then look away from them. So if the dog says, I'm uncomfortable, and you listen, you make the dog feel more comfortable. The dog says, I'm uncomfortable, and you try to pet them to make friends, you're going to make them feel creepy and not want to hang out with you. So playing hard to get is really, really important and really effective. All right, so those are my 2 little scenarios. I'm going to give you a very quick rundown of what we covered in the session. We started off by going over marker words. I'm going to have a video, page link that explains marker words. Get into a habit of using the marker words all the time. Also, make sure you have clean mechanics. So if I tell the dog to sit, I don't say sit, reach for the treat, say yes, and I give a treat. I would say sit. The dog sits, then I say yes. Then I reach for the treat, then I deliver the treat. Make sure you do those separate actions. After a while, you start blending them together, the dog kind of gets confused. Let me see what else. Getting back to the scenarios with both of them, the lick mats. When the people do finally get in there, when they sit down, the first couple times they're in there, they should sit down and be very quiet and calm. And the dogs get lick mats, and the person stays there calmly and quietly until the dogs finish their lick mats. Now, so get lick mats with suction cups. So they don't let the dogs try to hassle the other dog for their lick mat. But the idea is now we're pairing releasing the feel-good endorphins with the presence of the person. We're helping the dog practice a calm down tempo sort of thing. They have to lay down to lick that usually, which also is an indication of relaxation. And it's just helping the dog practice by what we call an incompatible behavior. I can't bark at you while I'm licking. So, and then when the lick mats are done, then the dog should leave while the people stay seated, and then the people leave when the dogs are gone. So we don't want to have, and if the people are there, if they have to get up, they need to tell the people, tell the guardians, and then either move the dogs away or call the dogs out of the room completely before they get up and move around. Unexpected movements are going to be startling for the dogs. Also, you might want to get an analog. See if you can find some dolls that look like the dogs that you have, and then say it's Junior Scout. And so the kid can hold Junior Scout, can pet Junior Scout without the pressure of actual Scout. Now, whenever kids or new people around dogs, I always want the dogs to have a safe place that they can go. When they go to that safe place, the kids are not allowed to go there. So you need to make sure the parents understand that if the dogs go in that room, the kids are not allowed to go in that room under any circumstances or near, say, her kennel or whatever it is. Okay, let me see what else. All right, so we went over marker words. There's a thing about the marker words above. We went over celebrating. Celebrating is using, well, before we went over celebrating, we went over hand targeting. I'll have a video for that above. We also went over how to introduce cues. Remember, 4 parts to a cue. The cue, sit, the action, the dog sitting, the marker word, yes, and then the reward, the pet, the treat, their attention. When we're teaching dogs, we teach the first step last. We just lure the dog into position till it becomes easy to lure them. You should not say the cue unless you're 90% certain. When you say sit, the dog is going to do the action when you say it one time. The more you repeat it, the less you mean it. So if your dog doesn't do it, it either means they haven't been taught or the environment is too distracting. All right, we also, after hand targeting, and hand targeting is something I'd like you guys to practice as a couple. Boop, runs over here, boop, runs over there. So if you get the dogs running back and forth between the two of you, touching those with your hand, we're teaching them to engage with humans. And later on, when you have a guest come over or the visitors, the relatives, you can play the game just the two of you and then have one of them get involved. Boop. And the dog comes over and touches his nose in the hand and saying, yes, I feel comfortable enough to engage with you. If they go boop and the dog goes, nope, that's saying it's not, and we're not going to push that. So that's the other benefit of hand targeting. So watch that video and maybe send the link to that. You just have your guests watch it. All right, so we also went over dog manners. So when dogs jump up on you and nudge you, they're telling you, remember, go get me some chicken nuggets. So when they do that, you're going to tell them, it's not wrong for them to ask for attention, but we're going to tell them to ask for it in a different way by telling them to sit or to lie down. We tell them one time, they have 3 seconds to do it. If they do it, I say yes and pet them. If they don't do it, I'm making art, I'm watching TV, I'm playing video games, I'm reading a book, I'm doing any other thing. I'm not saying, hey, I'd be petting you if you didn't do it. No, you want to not do it? Fine, you do you. I'm on to the next thing. We're not punishing the dog, or we're not reinforcing what they want. Now, celebrating is rewarding the dog when it offers the desired behaviors. There'll be a link to that above. Again, this is a long video, so I'm not going to go through it, but watch that video. Celebrate is one of the easiest things you can do that will boost your dog's confidence, help them practice basic obedience, help them feel comfortable as you as leader, teach them manners. And it's really, if you get in a habit, it'll take you about 2 months before you get in a habit of doing it, but eventually you'll do it without even thinking. Say celebrate to each other if you see a partner missing an opportunity to reward a desired behavior. The manners lesson, the chicken nuggets, say manners. If we see the dog jumping up on us or doing something on our partner, we say manners. That means I think you might have forgotten that we don't want to pet the dog for jumping up. Anything your dog is doing before you give it attention, whether it's good attention or bad attention, don't yell at your dog, but that is what you're rewarding your dog for. And a lot of us train and condition our dogs to do the exact thing we don't want. Now, celebrating can be a wonderful thing. One of the guardians here has some issues where she could use what's called deep pressure therapy, which is where we teach a dog to lay across our lap or lay across our body. So every time that dog that you want to do that lays across your lap, I would say yes and pet them. If you know they're about to do it, come up with a word for this one. Maybe cover means just cover my lap, and then full or dress or whatever the word is that means covering up your whole body. And so luring your dog over to do that, it can help you help your dog relax. Or help you relax and feel comfortable, and your dog is doing a job. And dogs love doing jobs that are really suited to this. They recognize they're making an improvement in quality of your health. Now, if you do want to train a service dog, read the Ultimate Service Dog Training Manual. Read it first. Find a breeder who will help you get a dog, and find a breed that is specific, that is going to be more interested in helping you. Shiba Inus don't care. Akitas are wonderful dogs, but they don't really care. They're very independent. I don't say they don't care, but like a golden or a lab or certain dogs just really want to be with you. They really want to help you. That's really important for a service dog. Now, find a good breeder as well. Make sure the breeder practices puppy culture. If they don't practice puppy culture, find a different breeder. Find the breeder before the dogs are bred. Don't get in a hurry doing this. Do it right. And you've read the book, you found the breeder. Went through 40 breeders before I found the one that I got my Dalmatian from, because she practiced puppy culture. Remember, stronger heart, better immune system, ability to separate fear from stress. And you raise puppies who are going to be service dogs different than you do a regular puppy, because it has to do the job for you. And it sounds like the Guardian here has multiple things she wants the dog to do, service deals, which is going to mean a little bit more training. You can find somebody else to do the training for you, but you're probably looking at $10,000 to $50,000 and a couple of years of that. Speaking of which, one of the partners here gives the dog some of her vegetables. Do not give it from the dinner table. If you want to give your dog stuff, chop it into little pieces, put it off to the side, and put it in their dish. And so they get it later after you eat, not sweating you for food, because that's just going to cause the other dogs to want to do it, and you're going to create some issues that you really don't want to deal with. All right, we also went over dog consent, which is really important in this situation. We need to recognize when those ears go back, when the dog turns away, ducks their head, gives you whale eye, refuses to come to us. They're saying, I'm scared or I'm uncomfortable. We're not going to force them. One of the guardians here was trying to get the dog to look at her. The dog didn't, and so she just kind of gently pushed the dog rear end until it was positioned towards her. She didn't do anything. It wasn't abusive, nothing bad, but it was forcing the dog to do it. The great thing about hand targeting is it teaches the dog to use the hand. So in the future, I would use that hand targeting, teach all the dogs to do that, and then you can get the dog to reposition itself. That makes the dog feel more comfortable, and it takes away any negative interactions. Even though we mean well, if we force the dog, we are taking away their choice, and that can create some issues. Let's see. This is getting really long, so I'm going to try to shorten it up or end it here. So if you have any questions, please text me. If I don't hear from you, I assume that everything's going great. For exercise, remember to get those snuffle mats. The one that I like is the Rundick, Rundick. It's a gray one. It has the band around it, and if you look at it on Amazon, it's a picture of a golden retriever. I would get one of those. You could probably get one for each dog, or one and all the dogs use it. You can wash it in the washer every month or so. Omega Paw Tricky Treat Ball is an orange ball. I get the large one. Put that down and let the dogs in the room by themselves supervise them, because they'll rip it up once it's out of treats, but they have to nudge the ball. A couple treats fall out, they nudge it a little bit more. It's a nice interactive game for them. Do a search on Facebook for DIY dog enrichment. There's a lot of things that you can do online to help your dog feel comfortable and to burn some energy without them having to take them for a walk. You have 2 border collies and a puppy with high energy. They need more exercise. Lack of exercise often results in unwanted dog behaviors. So make sure you get that exercise. Come up with a routine that works well for you. Scent games are a wonderful way to drain energy, because you don't usually have to do it. You can do it in the house. There's a whole bunch of scent games you can find online. Look for DIY enrichment and some stuff like that, so you can help your dogs feel comfortable. And getting them exercise before guests come over, or give them something to do when the guests are over, really, really can be game changers. All right, now if you have any questions, please call or text me. My clients who get the best results are the ones who watch this video and the one above. Watch that over and over again. The other one above, I guess we went over the door closing. I'll let that speak for itself. Watch both these videos once a week, until when you watch the videos, when you get done, you're like, there's nothing new here. If you're still having problems at that point, let me know. I'm happy to come out to another session. But usually my clients who have done that each week, you kind of pick up some new things you might have forgotten, and eventually get to the point where, yeah, we've solved our dog's problems. But again, for Scout, make sure that you find a playground where you can have her looking at children, and not just that, but even a park where people are walking by, whatever it is, so she can feel comfortable look and play that engage disengage with them. For your class, again, I would take Sadie, ask the instructor, can I bring Sadie to the class and practice off to the side? I just want to practice getting her used to being around you guys. I want to just expose her very gradually. So I wouldn't take the class until you can be within whatever distance the dogs are apart from each other in class, and you can be standing off to the side at that same distance, and she's able to sit and do the things the dogs are doing in the class before you go back to that free class. Remember, only way the socialization works is if the dog enjoys it. So if you force her to be in a situation where she's fearful or anxious, she's practicing being fearful or anxious. It's not going to help you. So you got to find a situation where, she's not offering those cutoff signals. Her ears are not pinned back. She's taking treats. She'll sit down and all those fun things. All right, I'm watching the dogs play fetch in the backyard, and so normally I would have them here, but this is Scout and her buddy's Roadmap to Success video. Remember, everything you do, train your dog, only sometimes you mean it.